Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be reacting to some true crime videos on TikTok while playing Roblox Paperface. Because I randomly had the idea and I was like, this is actually a really good idea. So we're going to be reacting to some true crime videos while we're playing a crime game. I think it sounds good. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's automatically go to TikTok and let's look at one of the videos.
With a group of friends in a setting kind of like.
Did you know that one of the youngest women ever put on death row buried her victims alive? Tiffany Cole grew up in Charleston in a very abusive, unstable childhood. Her mother was just awful. Her stepdad was a very violent, abusive man. One time he even threw a puppy at the wall and broke its neck.
Okay, can we automatically pause it? Because a lot of people who turn out to be killers are oftenly abused when they're younger. Just a thought.
When Tiffany was 16, her biological dad began to SA her. When she told her mom and her mom did not believe her, Tiffany ran away, only to return and move back in with her dad when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, so she could be her dad's full-time caregiver. During this time, Tiffany got
We're gonna play and then we're gonna come back to this video. So let's for now focus on being a detective. We're gonna go back to reacting.
super close to the couple that lived next to her dad, and they were Carol and James Reggie Sumner. Carol and Reggie were a great couple. It was both of their second marriage. The couple actually dated back in high school but broke up when they were 16. Carol's first husband was a truly awful, abusive, violent man. One day he actually tried to kill Carol. He shot Carol multiple times before turning the weapon on himself. Miraculously, Carol survived, but in the hospital she was given a blood transfusion which gave her hepatitis C, which later...
Okay, sorry for pausing it again, but we have to vote. So let's see who we should vote off. I'm gonna go with, I feel like she was suspicious, but she was. Ooh. I'm gonna vote for her. Ooh, I don't like that it shows who voted. Because I feel like it was one of them. One of them are the killers.
Resulted in cancer. And after all of these terrible things happened to Carol, she was just trying to recover and rebuild her life. She gets a new job at a call center for a cable network, and one day her ex-boyfriend from high school, Reggie Sumner, calls the call center, and that's how Carol and Reggie reconnected 40 years after high school. They were both in their 50s now, and they got married. And that's also how they became neighbors to Tiffany and Tiffany's dad, and they just felt so bad for Tiffany, this young girl who was putting off her life to take care of her sick dad. And they became almost like adoptive parents to Tiffany, and they would do anything they could do to help her. And when Carol and Reggie eventually moved to Jacksonville, Florida, they told Tiffany that she was welcome to stay with them anytime. In May of 2005, Tiffany meets and starts casually dating a guy named Michael Jackson, but no, obviously not that Michael Jackson. Tiffany and Michael Jackson plan a trip to visit a friend of theirs that lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and of course, while they're there, they stay with Carol and Reggie Sumner. And they are just so excited to see Tiffany. They open their doors to her and Michael, and sometime during the trip, either Carol or Reggie mentions to Tiffany and Michael that when they sold their house in Charleston, they made a profit of over $100,000. So after the trip, Tiffany and Michael Jackson began planning how to rob Carol and Reggie Sumner, the two people who had just welcomed them into their home. For weeks, they planned how to rob the Sumners, and eventually those plans escalated to robbing and killing Carol and Reggie Sumner with no explanation why, just completely terrible and senseless. They also recruited two friends, Alan Wade and Bruce Nixon. Multiple times they made the trip from Charleston to Jacksonville, Florida, just so they could find like the quickest route, I guess. And one of those times they pre-dug a grave in an isolated wooded area in Georgia. On July 8th, 2005, they all drove down to Jacksonville for a final time. They had Alan and Bruce go up to the front door first because the Sumners didn't know them, and they told the Sumners that their car broke down and asked to use their phone. And because Carol and Reggie were just like the best people, they were super trusting and would literally help anyone, they let the two men in. Almost immediately after getting into their home, they pulled out a fake weapon that looked real enough, and they said, "Do what we say." They tied up Carol and Reggie, and then Michael Jackson came in, and together all three men robbed the place. They put Carol and Reggie in the trunk of their own car and then drove to that pre-dug grave in Georgia. And then they shoved them into the bottom of that 6-foot grave that they had dug. And Tiffany Cole was there watching the entire thing, which means that the Sumners knew that this girl that they loved and trusted was behind this entire thing. And then in one of the most heartless and disgusting things I've ever heard, truly I was crying while researching this, they slowly began to shovel dirt on top of Carol and Reggie, burying them alive. And yes, Tiffany was there watching the entire thing. After committing this evil, cold murder, the four killers ditched Reggie and Carol's car in Florida. They then went and tried to pawn off a bunch of Carol and Reggie's things. They also took their debit cards and went to multiple ATMs and tried to absolutely drain their bank accounts. And with all that money, they rented a limo and took all these pictures partying after burying a sweet old couple alive.
Okay, I'm gonna pause this because I've heard of this. So many crime things in general, actually. People like to go after killing someone. They like to do something fun. Like, I don't know about this, the brothers. I really don't know. They could have actually been abused, killing is wrong regardless. But the Menendez brothers, it said that they went and they spent money after what happened. And a lot of people tied that to the fact that they were never able to do it when their parents were alive. But there was also another case where I think a girl or a boy was really crazy. And they went out and they did something with their friends. They were hanging out with their friends and everything. Like, they didn't just kill someone. So it's kind of interesting how their brains operate. Just a thought.
When Carol's daughter, who talked to her mom every single day, couldn't get a hold of her mom, she knew something was wrong and she called the police. And very quickly, it was obvious that they were missing people. Their place was ransacked and they found their car abandoned. The search for Carol and Reggie became big news. And then out of nowhere, the police get a call from Reggie Sumner, who was really Michael Jackson pretending to be Reggie Sumner. Reggie told the police that they were fine. They were just on a spontaneous trip. He even had his wife, Carol, get on the phone and talk to the police too. But obviously, it was Tiffany pretending to be Carol. And why they thought this was going to work, I have no clue. The police said it was really obvious that they were imposters. Reggie and Carol were in their 60s, and Michael and Tiffany weren't trying to act like they were in their 60s. It was really clear that the people on the phone were in their 20s. They also recorded this phone call and showed it to Carol's daughter, who said that it was very much not her mom talking on the phone. Because they are truly the world's dumbest criminals, they were able to track the phone number that they used to call the police. They were able to track Reggie and Carol's debit cards to the ATMs where they drained their bank accounts, and those ATMs had cameras, so they saw them on camera draining their bank accounts. Also on camera in the back was a rental car that Tiffany had rented that they were able to track back to Tiffany. And when they tracked them all down and arrested them, they literally had on them some of the stuff that they had stolen from Reggie and Carol, including their car keys and their debit cards. Bruce was the first one to crack. He confessed everything, including that they had buried them alive and even showed them where they could find their bodies. And when they found Carol and Reggie's bodies, they were hugging each other. Bruce pled guilty and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Michael, Tiffany, and Alan all pled not guilty, but were given the death penalty. Michael was 25 years old, Tiffany was 25 years old, and Bruce and Alan were 20 years old. Tiffany Cole is one of the youngest women to ever be sentenced to death and be put on death row. But in 2017, all three of their death sentences were changed to life without the possibility of parole. Also, while behind bars, Alan Wade found love. He got married and also apparently had a baby, even though the prison that he was in didn't allow conjugal visits. So don't know if that was his baby, but he also became a reality TV star. Yep, he appeared in some reality show about finding love after lockup. And if you watch the end of this video,
I've actually heard of that show. It's not on Netflix or something. I might be wrong. But I've seen it. I haven't watched it, but I saw the cover. I wonder.
thank you so much for listening to Carol and James Reggie Sumner's story. It really means the world to me, and my heart truly goes out to any of the loved ones of Carol and Reggie.
Okay, that story was really sad, but also really... Someone actually said in the comment, I always say monsters are created, their childhood stuff. And that is so true. A lot of times, criminals were created. They weren't people that just came on the earth and just decided to take someone's life. A lot of times, something happened for them to end that way, and it's never okay. But, okay, everyone has a story, but some people are a little more weaker than others when it comes to those things, causing them to kill people, which is really bad. That's why if someone notices something, they need to get their child therapy ASAP. It's not time to wait. It's time to do it now, if that makes sense. But it says AB, so the person has an A and a B in their name. I don't see. Oh, Mander, it'll be Trevor. Give it a look. Or him. I don't know. It's this one or that one. I get the vibe. But let's find our next video.
Gave her student a B plus and then he began stalking her. This is a truly horrifying stalking case. Paola Estefania Tacacho moved to Tucumán, Argentina to study and build a life for herself. She began working as an English teacher, traveling and continuing her education. From the outside, everything seemed to be going fine, but behind the scenes, she was living in constant fear. Her nightmare began in 2015 after she gave a student of hers named Mauricio Parada Parejas a B plus on a class assignment. He was so upset with this grade, and from there, he began obsessively harassing her. He would follow her home and wait outside of school for her. When she reported him to the school, they just brushed it off and ultimately let her go instead of protecting her. Yeah, she was no longer a teacher there, and coincidentally, as soon as Paola left the school, so did Mauricio. He no longer attended classes, but instead continued stalking Paola. It intensified online with threatening messages, impersonation, and disturbing posts that terrified both Paola and her loved ones. He used fake accounts to send threats like the time to disappear is near, and manipulated her social circle to get information on her. This stalking escalated into a terrifying, all-consuming nightmare. Despite repeatedly reporting it, authorities consistently dismissed her concerns, saying it was just online stalking. Eventually, Mauricio even found out new ways to reach her by posing as family members at places that she frequented to get her information. So he would call her gym being like, "Hey, I'm a family member, there's an emergency, I need to get Paola's information." At this point, Paola had to delete her social media, and from there, he began stalking her physically. He followed her, left disturbing letters and photos of her in the lobby of her apartment. He would also graffiti her name on the streets that she would walk past on her day-to-day routines, a way to let her know that he was always watching. He would also leave the number 144, which is the hotline for victims of gender-based violence. He was taunting her. He would ring her apartment buzzer pretending to be someone else and just would sit outside her apartment complex waiting for her. Paola would make reports and restraining orders would be set in place, but Mauricio would never abide by them, and he was never punished for these violations either. Despite showing extensive evidence and repeated violations of the restraining orders, the justice system failed her. No panic button, no surveillance, no protective action was put in place. Paola even reached out to Mauricio's brother Ronald, who blamed her and told her to move instead of helping. He literally told her like, "Oh, that's it? That's all my brother's doing? He's just looking at you? That's not that bad." Yeah. Now, Ronald was a politically connected businessman, and Paola's family believed that he used his influence to shield Mauricio, especially after a judge declined to bring the case to trial in 2017, arguing that it would be a waste of resources. For years,
Okay, can we talk about these types of cases? The one where people try to get help and then they don't receive help at all? Like, I don't like that. They'll do a restraining order. That's another thing. The world works in an interesting way because restraining orders exist, right? But even though they exist, the person can still do something to the person. And the police wouldn't actually act until the person is killed. Can we talk about that? Just a thought. Very interesting.
Paola's reports were ignored. Her data was exposed in court records for Mauricio to see her new address, her new phone number, her new email address, and she had no real protection. Despite doing everything right, Paola was left helpless by a system that simply didn't care. This was especially devastating because Argentina had already enacted Ley Micaela, a law requiring public officials to be trained in responding to gender-based violence. But in Paola's case, that law didn't matter to officials. Despite years of being ignored by authorities and constant harassment and stalking, Paola just tried to continue living her life. However, on October 30th, 2020, after ending her day at the gym, she was attacked and unalived by Mauricio while walking home. He followed her to the gym and then stabbed her from behind. He stabbed her a total of 6 times in front of witnesses before fleeing. Neighbors tried to help, some chased him, others called for help, but Paola died nearly instantly from her injuries. As for Mauricio, a handful of the neighbors actually cornered him, but after being pepper sprayed and just realizing that he couldn't escape, he unalived himself. Back in Salta, Paola's mom, Mariela, had felt uneasy all day. She just had a gut feeling. Then she received the call around midnight and rushed to Tucumán, hoping that her daughter had survived. But by the time she arrived, Paola was already gone. Her body was cremated and returned to Salta. Everything Paola had built in Tucumán, her dreams, her independence, and her future was gone. 2 weeks later, police searched Mauricio's apartment and they found alarming evidence. Photocopies of Paola's ID and 2 disturbing letters. In them, Mauricio blamed everyone around him, including Paola, claiming she provoked him and that she got what she deserved. He even blamed his family for not helping him with his mental illness, which they knew about. Though Mauricio unalived her, Paola's family also blames the justice system, which failed her at every turn, especially Judge Francisco Pisa, who was the judge who previously refused to take Mauricio to trial. Paola's family and feminist groups demanded his accountability. After continued protests in August of 2021, Judge Pisa was put on trial. By November, he was officially removed from office and denied his pension, a significant step Paola's family saw as long overdue justice. On the one-year anniversary of Paola's death, the National University of Tucumán honored her with murals, a memorial mass, and a plaque reaffirming the commitment to fight gender violence. A march followed, ending at a plaza altar where Paola's mother gave a powerful speech, saying justice is what keeps her going. Even 4 years later, Paola's loved ones are still demanding justice, not only from the government, but from Mauricio's family, especially from his brother Ronald, who they say enabled the stalking by funding his bail, housing, and legal defense. Paola literally told Mauricio's family, like, look at what your brother is doing to me. He is stalking and threatening me, and they did nothing. They chose to protect their brother. Paola followed every legal avenue to protect herself, but was ignored. It's horrifying that she reported him 22 times, yet nothing was done to save her. She gave her student a B.
Okay, this is sad because they basically thought it was funny. They weren't taking it seriously, and that ended in her death, which is really sad, by the way. That's really sad. If someone stepped up and they actually did something to help her, she wouldn't be dead. You get me? Or maybe she would be, but at least it would be knowing that someone helped her. You get me? That's really sad.
She promised her mom she would never sneak out again, but the very next day she went missing, and I think we know who did it. Her name is Kayla Berg, and what happened to her still haunts everyone who hears it. That night, Kayla told her mom that she was staying at her friend Natasha's house, but that wasn't the plan, not even close. They wanted to go to a party, one with older boys, drinks, and everything that their parents would have said no to. So they pulled the oldest trick out of the book. Kayla told her mom she was staying at Natasha. Natasha told her mom she was staying at Kayla's, and it worked. The girls made it to the party, but what makes this worse is Kayla didn't have a phone, so when she didn't make it home that night, nobody could reach her. It's now the next morning, and Kayla's mom, Hope, is calling everyone. She calls Natasha's mom, and that's when it both hits them. They've been lied to, and both their daughters are missing. Hope files a missing persons report immediately, but later that same day, Kayla walks straight through the front door saying that she lost track of time. I mean, her mom is obviously furious, but she's a mother first, so all she can do is be thankful that her daughter is alive and safe. So she made Kayla promise to never sneak out again, but the next day she disappears, except this time nobody would ever see Kayla alive again. That day she went to go visit her father James. Quick backstory, her parents are separated and her father is battling cancer. It was a lot for her to handle, so she made sure to check in with him from time to time. At around 8:30 p.m. a man named Kevin, who's 24 by the way, picks her up. She kisses her dad goodbye and gets into his car. Now Kevin isn't just some stranger. I mean, he is 24 years old hanging with a 15-year-old, but he's basically part of the family. At 9:30 p.m. Kayla stops by McDonald's to visit her friend Beth, who's working night shift. Beth remembers it like it was yesterday. She says that Kayla pulled up in Kevin's Jeep, but only Kayla came inside. She told Beth that she was planning to hang out with Kevin and that she would call her after shift, but that call never came, and that was the
This is already a problem. Others told her that she shouldn't sneak out. Like, she made her promise. Now she's hanging out with this boy who's 20 years old, and she's only 15. That's like already a bad sign. That's a red flag. Usually when girls hang out with older men, something usually does happen. You get me? Her mother wouldn't have approved of this, let's be honest. So let's continue.
last time anyone ever saw Kayla alive again. The next morning, Kayla's dad realizes that she's never come home yet, and at first he's just thinking, oh, she's pulling that same stunt from the night before, but then hours go by, and that's when panic starts settling in. He calls Kevin, and his answer only made things worse. He says he dropped Kayla off, but doesn't remember where, he doesn't know the address, and he doesn't know the friend's name. Tell me that doesn't sound suspicious. Later that day, James calls Hope, but she doesn't answer, so he leaves a message, and the next day, Hope hears that message, but this time her gut was screaming that something was seriously wrong. She starts her own research, asking anyone and everyone who might know who this mysterious friend was. She calls Kevin, but he doesn't answer, and then hours later he sends a text message. Yes, a text message, not a phone call, a text. He says his phone was dead and sticks to the same story that he told Kayla's dad, that he dropped her off at a house that was dark, no lights on, and doesn't know the address. Days pass and Kayla still isn't home, so her mom has no choice once again to report her missing. At first, police listed her as an endangered runaway, but as more time passes, things just stop making sense. Kevin's story kept changing. At first, he's like, I don't remember where she went, I don't remember. But then afterwards, he was like, wait, Actually, I dropped her off at her ex-boyfriend Miguel's house. Except Miguel didn't live there, and Kayla knew that. The house was abandoned. They weren't even dating anymore, so why would she ask to be dropped off there? Police checked Kevin's location, and guess what? It was either dead, turned off, or not working the entire time he was with Kayla. So there's literally zero proof that he took her to that house. How convenient for him. Police search his house, his car, his phone records. They find things, but nothing that leads to Kayla. Kevin tells police he went straight home that night. His mom backs up his alibi, obviously, but beyond.
Okay, another thing about this, sorry to keep pausing, is that a lot of times police officers are aware of who killed someone, but they can't act unless they have evidence. That's something suspicious to me as well, because the criminals know that. They know that if they don't have evidence, and that makes them feel good. That's a problem.
That there's nothing to actually support it. And when police start pressing him harder, he lawyers up. They tried hitting him with minor charges like reckless driving and endangering a minor, hoping that he would crack under the pressure, but Kevin pled not guilty and those charges were dismissed. Police knew he was hiding something, but they couldn't prove it, so they shifted their focus to Miguel, and he didn't help either. They say he never reached out to the family, he never helped search for her, and Kayla's mom said that she found that very odd of him. Unfortunately, the case went cold for years.
Wait, but what if Miguel helped him? How do they not know that they helped each other or not? Like, if he wasn't helping, or they had a bad breakup, maybe that happened and he didn't want to help. It could be one or the other. But just a little thought.
Until 2016. This really creepy video titled "Hi Walter" started going viral. A man in the video starts talking about meeting a girl at the mall, and in the background there's a girl tied up in the room behind him. The internet exploded saying that she looked just like Kayla, and it was so convincing that even the FBI started investigating it. But the video turned out to be fake. The girl was an actor, and that false hope nearly broke Kayla's family all over again. But they did say if there was one good thing that came out of that, it was the fact that more people learned Kayla's name. To this day, Kayla is still missing and we don't know what happened. But if you ask her family, they'll tell you exactly who they think knows the truth, and his name is Kevin. But what do you guys think happened? Is Kevin actually hiding something, or is he an innocent man that just so happened to see her last? She promised her mom she would never sneak.
That case is very sad, actually. Very, like, eerie in a way. Like, not knowing where their daughter is. That's something. That's really sad. We're not done though. We're gonna do one more, and this one I have to find the right video for it.
So this guy, his name's Luigi, and Luigi just unalived a man, and people love him for it. So Luigi's got a lot going for him. He was a valedictorian in his high school, he went to an Ivy League university, and he's generally a charming and friendly dude. And one day, he decides to move to Hawaii. I mean, he's in his 20s, he has a remote job, so why not? And there, Luigi learns to surf. Here's the thing though, Luigi has had bad back pain since he was a little kid. He actually has a condition called spondylolisthesis. And I guess all the surfing aggravates his spondylolisthesis and his back starts hurting like crazy. In fact, it's so bad that he's in bed for a week, and even after he recovers enough to get out of bed, the pain doesn't really go away. So most days, Luigi's just in pain and it sucks. So he does his research and he starts reading books about chronic back pain, and he does everything he can to help himself. But nothing seems to work, and this back problem is really starting to consume his life. Like, he's not sleeping right, and he can't surf, he can't have sex. He can't live the active life he wants in Hawaii, so eventually he leaves. And I don't know exactly where he goes after this, but things continue to get worse. Like, the pain is just unbearable. Sometimes his legs feel numb.
We're gonna pause this because it's already sad, and it actually reminds me of a book by Elena Armas. In The American Roommate Experiment, he has a problem as well, but his is from an injury, but it's still something to think about, you know? Really sad, but let's continue.
And he just never feels rested. And this is just a bit of speculation on my part because we don't have all the info right now, but it is speculated that this whole time he's battling with his health insurance provider, trying to get them to cover his treatment. And that, unfortunately, isn't going too well, as these things generally don't. And eventually, something happens to him that gets him sent to the ER. And from there, he has to schedule a surgery for his back, no matter what it costs. I mean, there's no other way around it. This is ruining his life. So he schedules the surgery, and he gets it. And it's a spinal fusion surgery where doctors fuse part of the...
Okay, this is actually interesting because I don't think I've heard this entire part of his story before. Now, I've heard other things. I know that he got a surgery, but I didn't actually hear about, like, this, if that makes sense. This in depth. So let's continue.
Spine together, and so...
and don't mind me not actually playing Roblox right now. My avatar is just standing right here. Don't judge it. But I know you're in truth too, so let's continue.
Do the surgery, and after about a week, he's already starting to feel better. And little by little, he becomes active again. And he goes backpacking through Asia, and he ends up in Japan, and this is just what he really needed. But again, this is speculation based on how American health insurance works, but it is speculated that during this, he continues to fight with his health insurance provider to get them to cover his back surgery. And they just keep giving him the runaround like they are known to do. And by the time he gets back to the US, bro has had enough. He's done with these insurance companies, and he's done with the US healthcare system. And so he decides to do something about it. And he comes up with this insane plan to assassinate a CEO. So first, he distances himself from his friends and family, and he stops posting online. He basically ghosts everyone for months. Then he gets a bunch of fake IDs and he 3D prints a pew-pew and a silencer. Then he takes 3 bullets and on the casings, he etches the words deny, defend, depose on them. Which deny, defend, depose is a reference to delay, deny, defend, which is a reference to the shady tactics that American health insurance companies use to deny coverage to people in need. And so after doing that, Luigi gets on a Greyhound bus, and they believe it originated in Atlanta, and he takes that bus all the way up to New York City. And there, he checks into a hostel, and he waits. 10 days later, it's early in the morning, and Luigi leaves the hostel and he heads over to the Hilton Hotel. And there, outside the hotel, he waits for about an hour for his target to show up. Then, his target does. This guy, Brian. Now, Brian is the CEO of United Healthcare, aka the largest health insurance company in the United States. Now, allegedly, United Healthcare denies more claims every year than any other health insurer. So a lot of Americans really hate this company, including me. F them. So Brian is just arriving to the hotel for an investors conference, probably to talk about his record profit margins or whatever. But then Luigi sees him walking up, and he walks right up behind him, and he aims his pew-pew at him, and he shoots him in the back. And Brian stumbles, and he falls to the ground. And the whole thing is caught on security footage, which I can't show you the murder, but you can see Brian here, and obviously Luigi is here. So anyway, Luigi shoots him. Mission accomplished. And he knows he needs to get the out of there before police show up. So he jumps on one of those bike share e-bikes and he flees. And you can actually see him on surveillance footage here passing by. And so he rides over to Central Park and he ditches the bike and his backpack and his jacket and he hails a cab. And eventually he ends up at Penn Station. From there, allegedly, he gets on a train and he flees to Philadelphia. And so Luigi's long gone. His plan worked. He made...
We're gonna pause it. I'm not gonna go too in depth, but that's a lot of traveling. Just had surgery. Just a thought.
Made his escape. And Brian, as you already know, he doesn't make it. But then the news breaks.
No matter what, how much someone didn't like the company, it's still sad though that the man died. Let's be honest. So that's something to think about.
Tonight, the urgent manhunt in New York City after the CEO of one of America's largest health insurers was fatally shot in a brazen targeted attack.
And as crazy as the story is, it doesn't really catch fire with the general public until the public learns about the bullet casings. The ones that had the words deny, defend, depose etched on them. Because this suddenly lets everyone know that the shooter's motive was likely tied to being denied health insurance coverage. Something that nearly every American adult has experienced or will experience in their lifetime. And so, real quick, you people who aren't from the United States, I don't think you quite understand. In America, the health insurance business is all run by private corporations. There is no public option. So even if you have insurance and you get sick or injured, the insurance companies will very often figure out ways to not have to cover you. Even though you're paying them every month, doesn't matter. They will find a way to not cover you. It's a really system that the general public is absolutely fed up with. And so people learn that Luigi unalived this healthcare CEO, and they start going apeshit. Like, people online are defending him, saying the shooting was justified. People start putting up wanted posters of other healthcare CEOs. Luigi gets a ton of fans. His social media accounts quickly blow up with hundreds of thousands of new followers before social media platforms take them all down a few hours later. And people are like reposting shirtless pictures of him, thirst trapping over him, like, oh my god, he's so fine. I mean, people on TikTok.
Okay, that's a problem. I've actually been on that side of TikTok before. And some girls are fangirling over him. And okay, if you see that you think something's wrong in this case, like you feel like he might not have done it or something like that, that's fine. But don't just say it because you like him, like because he's cute or anything. Only support people because of like a general reason, not just because they're cute, okay? Now, everybody has an opinion. Yeah, that's funny to me. Very interesting.
Are talking about how attractive he is.
Every woman in America is thirsting so hard for this Luigi Mangione guy. Yes, he's objectively attractive.
And so people from all sides of the political spectrum are cheering him on because he's suddenly become a representative of every American's frustration with the US healthcare system. Meanwhile, the NYPD is on a manhunt for Luigi, and they release a few photos of their person of interest, but they don't really know who he is. And he covered his tracks well enough that they can't find him. So the NYPD offers a $10,000 reward for any tips leading to his arrest. Then the FBI offers a $50,000 reward. But so far, no one is snitching, because a lot of people think he's a hero. So then 5 days go by since the shooting, and Luigi, he's been hiding out this whole time, and he ends up in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And at one point, I guess he gets hungry, like we all do, and he decides to go eat at a local McDonald's. And while he's there, another customer feels like they recognize him, and they tell an employee, and that employee calls 911. Minutes later, police show up, and bam, they finally arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And here's some more footage of him. He's in police custody. Anyway, so he's in jail now, waiting on his trial, which will probably happen sometime in 2025. And it's gonna be an absolute circus. But I'm sure we'll cover it, and I'll keep you updated. So this guy...
Okay, so we already know that the case is he already went to his trial and everything. Wonder if he didn't. Okay, so this case is very interesting. I'm pretty sure a lot of people. So you can already tell that he's very smart. There's a lot of speculations about the case. And this comment is definitely something that I agree with. That he's innocent until proven guilty, because there's a lot of things out that will cause you to wonder a few things. That's all I'm gonna say. But he's definitely innocent until proven guilty. That's for tons of different criminals. But yeah, that's something. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I feel like it was a good idea. Maybe I'll do another one like this. One that's more organized. Thank you so much for viewing. And have a great day. Or night. Whatever. If you're up late at night, go to sleep. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it.